Norseman Live is brought to you by Isklar, Intersport, Windforce, Bundegruppen, and Renault.
Good morning and welcome to the Norseman, the most extreme triathlon on the face of the earth. My name is Philip O'Connor, and this year there's no studio, there's no second takes, there's no safety net. We're bringing you the race from right in the middle of it. Right now we're on the boat here in Eidfjord on the ferry with the rest of the participants. Today there are 240 of them, plus 42 athletes taking part in the Xtreme World Championship. We'll get to all that. We've plenty of time throughout the day. There'll be 6 or 7 different programs. I think it's 6 programs in total that we're bringing you, and we're starting here on the boat this morning. It is 4:35 local time. Now we're having an announcement from up above, but just after 4 o'clock this morning, we got onto this boat. It left the harbour in Eidfjord. We've now sailed out about a little over 3 kilometres to the starting point here, and right behind us, if we walk over here, we can see what's going on, okay? Immediately what you're going to see over here is that we have some green caps and we have some yellow caps. This year, the green caps are the people taking part in the Xtreme World Championship, and the yellow cap are what we call the normal Norsemen. But this is no normal race. This is the race that we describe as being not for you. And if you're watching us live on YouTube or on Facebook, you'll know that already, but maybe it will be for you next year if you follow us throughout the day. Let's go and have a little look over here, because they're just about to open up and get and start getting people into the water. So you can see the green caps over here. Plenty of windmilling of arms to get started here, to get warmed up. So we have the line right here. We have our stewards holding the line here. Ahead of this line are our professional triathletes, right? They're going to go in the water first, and their race will start about 5 minutes before everybody else. After that, the 240 regular Norseman athletes, and let's remember, there's no such thing as a regular Norseman athlete, they will go in the water. So about 10 minutes after that, the race itself gets underway. It's 220 kilometres long. There's 3 kilometres of swimming, there's 180 kilometres of bike riding, and then there's a marathon at the end of it. But the hardest part of this race can actually be the 4 meters from here down into the water, because if you can't make that, there's going to be no race at all. We have a lot of people on this boat here this morning. There's a lot of cameras on the boat. There's the energy and the electricity on this boat. I've been told about it before. If you watched this race before, you'll remember that I've normally been sitting in the studio and doing this introduction, but right now we're in the heart of the race. People have told me in the past about the energy and the electricity that is in this, you couldn't call it a room, but on this deck at this hour of the morning, and it's absolutely incredible. This is the last chance that most people will have to talk to somebody before the start of the race. So they're all getting ready, they're warming up, they're helping each other to zip up their wetsuit. There's a smell of tiger balm and liniment in the air as they try to keep their muscles warm. We've been watching them getting their swim caps on and their goggles on and checking their timing chips and everything. As you can see, the athletes at the very front here are very, very, very focused. Some have their earplugs in. Some are having a little chat there and that kind of thing. Some are keeping to themselves. We've seen people meditating. We've seen some people saying a little prayer. It's an amazing setting here this morning. And one of the big differences between this year and previous years is the temperature, right? Previously, we've talked about it in terms of cold water swimming and that kind of thing. I can tell you that when we measured the temperature before we got on the boat this morning, it was 16 degrees in the water, which is pretty good for Norseman. So I'm not going to say it's going to be comfortable. 16 degrees is still pretty tough. But as you can see, full body wetsuits on most of the competitors here behind me. Some of them wearing socks, not all of them wearing socks now. I know if I was getting in there, I'd want socks, I'd want shoes, I'd want the whole lot in there. But these are tough competitors that are going in there. So 16, 17 degrees, so the conditions are not going to be that tough. But if the weather stays like that, and if we get the weather forecast that we've been told to expect, it could be up to 25, 26 degrees in the later parts of the race, which are the cycling and the running. And that's going to make things very, very tough indeed. One of the things that we're going to be bringing to you throughout the day is the man who won last year is a man called Alan Hovda. And Alan was delighted with his performance last year, but he didn't break the world record, okay? He set out to break the world record, which is around about a little over 9 hours and 50 minutes, and he was disappointed not to do that last year. Now, we're putting it up on today, and we're saying these are perfect conditions. If anything, just slightly too warm. The air's going to be very warm when they get out of the water and that kind of thing. So this is the day. We're going to be following his attempt to break the record a little bit later on. We'll go back down the boat just a little bit, because at the very back of the boat here, you can actually start to see, if we look down to the left here, Kelle, there's some puddles beginning to form, and that's because we're spraying the athletes to get them acclimatized to the water there. There's a few people looking at me with their eyes wide open, their mouths wide open and that kind of thing, because they've already had a quick little spray of this water, and even if it is 15, 16, 17 degrees directly out of the fjord, still pretty chilly for this hour of the morning. There are a few people around on this boat that we want to talk to. I haven't seen any of them yet. We do want to give you the lowdown on the Xtreme World Championships. This is the first year of that, and we'll give you the lowdown on that as we come along. Now, this is where all the luggage goes, right? So everybody has a tag on their bag. They take off their bits and pieces. Here's competitor number 235. Their bag is right here. It's a special Norseman bag. They put all their belongings that they're not bringing with them out on the race into that bag, and they leave it here, and that will then be taken to the finish line. And they'll be reunited with that bag in about somewhere between 10 and 16 hours from now. Let's keep going and see if we can get a little bit more of the atmosphere down here. It's a little bit wet underfoot here now, so it's a couple of inches of water, or maybe a centimetre of water on the deck here. How was the water this morning?
It feels really good.
Was it a bit of a shock to the system when you stood under the hose for the first time?
Not today. I think we're in good shape today for the water temperature.
I'm going to guess that that's an American accent. Is it from somewhere on the West Coast?
Yeah, no, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, okay. What's the water like around there? Are you expecting different conditions here from Indiana?
A lot warmer than here. Swimming without a wetsuit, all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I probably should have started with your name.
Bobby Granger.
Bobby Granger, you're very welcome to Norway, to Eidfjord and the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon. What do you expect to get out of the day? What's the goal for the day, Bobby?
Goal, I think, is obviously the black t-shirt. I would love to get there, but at the end of the day, it's just to finish and call myself a Norseman. I got in on the first try, so I feel pretty lucky to be here, and I'm excited to get in the water, and I'll be more excited to get on the bike.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Bobby, and maybe we'll catch up with you a little bit out of the course later on. There you go. There is Bobby from Indiana, and if you're watching in Indiana, keep your eye out for Bobby during the day. We'll see if we can catch up with him along the course there. Now, if we go down to this side, we can see that the water is positively streaming here, and just up here we have one of the fire hoses, and this is how tough these people are. There are people standing there with their arms over their heads. This is just to get acclimatized before they get in the water. Okay, we're going to go back up the top of the boat, because what's happening right now is that they are opening up at the edge of the boat. This means that we're about to start getting people into the water here, so we're going to make our way back here as quickly as possible to see the first athletes getting into the water. We'll be starting just before 5 o'clock local time is when we expect the race to get underway. So the athletes have got to get in there, and they've got to get themselves acclimatized. They've got to tread a little bit of water before it all goes down. We're making our way back up the boat here. We're going to duck in under the rope here if we can. We're going to go, like I say, this year we're going to be right in the heart of the action the whole time. There we go. There's Callie with the camera. Poor man has a job of following me around today. And at the front, of course, we have all manner of small cameras, all manner of GoPros. If we have a quick look out here at the fjord behind us, it's a very, very peaceful scene. So you can see the clouds there on the top of the mountain there, and just down below that string of lights that looks like a little bit like the bottom level of your Christmas tree. That is Eidfjord. That's about 3 kilometers away, and that is the first place that we are all headed for. We can have a look down here to the right hand side. We'll see some of the safety boats that are lined up. We have canoes out there, we have crewed boats, we have media boats there. The green vests would be guys from the media and girls from the media who are taking pictures from out there as well. And of course we have our cameras out there. There's a big knot of boats off there over towards the edge of the fjord as well. The canoeists will be in among the people who are taking part in this race to ensure their safety as they go along. So safety, of course, is absolutely paramount.
World Championship athletes, now we are ready to jump.
So there you go. That announcement was that the World Championship athletes are ready to jump. And they are ready. The focus on the faces here. There's some big smiles too. People know what awaits them. There could be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hours of action ready to go. And this truly is, the tension here is absolutely unbelievable. They're moving the flag out. The flag will be folded over the side, and I'm sure you'll see that now in our recap builder, recap images a little bit later on. So safety marshals at the front of the boat, the red cones. There are, as far as I remember, there are 42 athletes who are taking part in the World Championship aspect of the race. We might walk, and there go the first of them into the water. There we go. We'll see if we can get a few of the splashes there. They're just going straight in. A couple of people pinching their nose here. They're going to be doing well to keep the water out of the nose for the next 50 or so minutes that it's going to take to get all the way. So this is our 42 odd World Championship athletes are swimming out to the front now, and they'll make sort of one phalanx at the front. They'll get all them out the front, and they'll start about 5 minutes before everybody else. So the World Championship, these are all mostly professional athletes or people who compete professionally in triathlete. There's somebody who doesn't feel that professional now, but she's just about to get in now and show us what she's made of. There you go, off you go. The best of luck to you. There we go. And just the tiniest scream of panic there as the competitor just jumped into the water there. She was the last of the elite athletes, the 42 who are taking part in the Xtreme World Championship. She was the last one to make it in there, and I've found the man who's going to be able to explain all about the Xtreme World Championship to us. Stuart McGuinness, good morning to you.
Good morning, Phil. How are you?
I'm fantastic altogether. I need you to explain to the viewers at home, the first 42 athletes who jumped in there, they're taking part in the Xtreme World Championship. Okay,
right.
Can you explain in 5 words or less exactly what that means? Or, take as many as you want.
That means that they're competing for the World Championship of Xtreme, so they're competing on the Norseman course within the Norseman, but it's a separate race from the Norseman. Brilliant. So they've qualified through the other races, and they're racing for the title of Xtreme World Champion. And
in order to become Xtreme World Champion, it's not enough to win here today or to perform well here today, right? What else do they have to do?
Well, yes, they have to do that today in this race, in this World Championship race. That makes them the World Champion.
That makes them the World Champion, sorry.
Not these guys.
Not these guys here. There we go. And tell me, this is the first year of the Xtreme World Championship?
First year, yes, absolutely. This is the first year, which is the test year for the World Championship race. Absolutely.
And how has it been?
It's superb so far. Everybody's happy. They're all in there, so that's a good start.
Yeah, there was some. I was very surprised at how happy everybody was. Actually, and we can turn our camera around and see exactly how far out they've swum. They're over there at the line, just at the edge of the fjord there. Stuart, when did you get to Eidfjord this year? Because you've been here a few times.
Just a couple of days ago. Yeah. Yes.
And how's it been so far?
It's been absolutely beautiful, although strangely warm.
Yeah, it has actually been incredibly warm, and that's something we're going to come back to throughout the day, because the temperatures are like 16, 17 degrees in the water.
For everyone else.
Okay, Stuart, we'll let you go, and we'll see you a little bit later on. There you go. That is the captain of the boat wishing our Norseman athletes a great day. This is where it all begins. If you can't make these 4 meters down into the water, you're not going to make the other 220 there. Jeff from Boston.
It's all about the jump.
It's all about the jump right now, isn't it?
It's all about the jump now. You make it through this, I think we're okay.
I think you're going to be good today, Jeff, and I'm going to talk to you about the top at the end of this.
Yes, absolutely.
There you go. Enjoy your day, my friend, and the best of luck, and we'll see you a little bit later on. Best of luck, guys.
For a swim run, Utilu, you know that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, from Reinsberg.
Yes, we have a few swim runners involved today as well, yeah. Do enjoy your race today, yeah. It's great to see so many familiar faces here, and now they're all getting into the water. You can see the yellow caps are the Norseman athletes, and they're just making it into the water now. And part of the difficult part, or one of the difficult parts of taking part in triathlon, is that it's not exactly a sort of a walk in the park. This is not like a training swim where you just swim there on your own. It gets very, very choppy very, very quickly because there are so many people in the water there. So finding your own little area to swim in is going to be tough. There's a lot of photographers here on the edge of the boat as well. This, of course, is a regular ferry that's used to traverse Eidfjord on a regular basis. And it's going to go into service in about an hour's time. By the time we get back, it will be going into regular service. You can see there the athletes are swimming out as well. So they will form a second line behind the World Championship athletes who are over there hanging onto the canoes at the moment. A great sense of anticipation here, great sense of energy and electricity. There's nobody, not too many people seeming to doubt themselves as they just jump into the fjord here. Water about 16 or 17 degrees, very, very lightly salted, as they love to say in Norseman circles. There's a lot of training goes into this as well. It was amazing to see actually in Eidfjord last night. Around about 10 o'clock last night, everywhere was quiet. The bars were all quiet. The barkeepers had gone home. They'd closed up. Nobody was drinking beers or doing anything like that. but it was very quiet. But then by about 2 o'clock in the morning, the village started to wake up again. Okay, so it's still pitch dark at that point in time, but you could hear the whir of bicycles. You could hear people starting to warm up. You could hear people going for breakfast, eating oats and porridge and that kind of thing, getting ready to go. So then it was just a case of getting up and getting down to the harbour. If you don't make this boat by 4 o'clock in the morning, by the time it leaves the port, your day is already over, okay? They don't wait for anybody. They don't hang around. It doesn't matter if you're the commentator or if you're a competitor or who you are. You just have to make it down to that boat. At 4 o'clock it leaves, and it sails out through the fjord to this point, about 3 kilometres from its starting point. There we go. We're rushing them into the water now. And if we see if you see any orange bibs there, you will know that they are safety marshals that we have throughout the race. So the yellow swim caps are for the Norsemen and women. The green are for the elite athletes competing in the World Championships. Trying to get everybody in the water now. The start will be just before 5 o'clock local time. And so far you've got to say that things are going like clockwork. It's about 10 minutes to 5 in the morning here, Central European time. It's quite warm here this morning. You'll notice that there are no woolly hats on display. There are no scarves on display. Many of our athletes here are barefoot and kind of happy to be so at this hour of the morning. You don't get the usual people jumping in and shivering and that kind of thing. You know, so nobody seems to object to any of that so far. We have a few people through the race that we're going to be keeping an eye on. Some of them are competing in the World Championship. Some of them will be well known to those of you who watched this race before. I can see some very, very familiar faces. There you go. I don't know if you heard that. The advice was, when you get to the edge, don't think, just jump. I think that'll be pretty good advice for the rest of the day in terms of how we approach this race. There's a lot of planning goes in there. There's been Alan Hovde, of course, we mentioned him a little bit earlier on. He will have planned this out meticulously in terms of the power and where he needs to aim it throughout the day. One of the athletes we're going to be keeping an eye on today is Martin Flinta, who's usually involved in the sport of swim run. He's taking part here today. Not sure how he'll do on the bike, but that's going to be pretty fascinating. And then Hans Christian Tungesvik will be up there as well with the leaders. It's going to be interesting to see how they do as well. On the women's side, Flora College, who came third last year, she put in a tremendous performance in coming third place last year. I saw her down around the village yesterday, just after the social swim. We have Lucy Gossage, otherwise known as the Duracell Bunny from the UK. She's here somewhere as well, and we're going to be keeping an eye on her. And Morgan Chaffin, the American Ironman pro triathlete, she's here as well, and we're going to be trying to keep an eye out for her as we go along. So we're down to the last few athletes now as we capture them getting into the water. The boat has emptied out pretty quickly, and now we are down to the very last few as they make their way in. Soon it will only be the media and the stewards left as the athletes make their way in there. Don't think, just jump is the mantra here. It really is amazing to see these tremendous athletes setting their watches. A lot of watches there they're going to tell them about not just the time, directions, power outages. There we go. One to go. So as you look at your picture there, you can see the row of boats there and everybody's lining up behind it. So we have the athletes in yellow there will be treading water. There are Norsemen and women. So they'll be lining up there. And then they will follow the edge of the fjord, so to speak. So the fjord rises hundreds of meters above them there. Then we'll get there. Is this our last, it will be our second last athlete. And our last two athletes are just going into the water. The last athlete just about to jump in there. The timing chips around the ankle there. And that's what will keep them in touch with the leaderboard, which you can find on nxtri.com. You'll be able to follow the leaderboard throughout the day. There we go. Our last couple of athletes making their way over there towards the line of boats there. And as I say, they'll follow this line of the fjord from right to left across your screen as you look at it. I think I'm going to have to ask my cameraman to back up because they're just about to, they're going to close it off again there. So they'll follow the line of the fjord behind me here. It goes from right to left. And Eidfjord, as I say, is away in the distance over there, about 3 kilometres further back there. and that's their starting point. Now, the absolute best swimmers that we have out there are going to be, you're going to be talking about, you know, somewhere around about 50 to 55 minutes it's going to take them to swim 3 kilometers, which is an absolutely incredible pace when you think about it. So my colleague Helen Webster is also going to be, we're going to be leapfrogging one another from here to Gaustatoppen, which is where the race ends a little bit later on, and we're going to be leapfrogging one another. So I'll bring you the start of the race from here, and then Helen will be over at T1, which is where they exit the water, and she'll be back with you live to bring you the people exiting the water there and some of the highlights from what's already gone on this morning. And then from there, we'll just be basically stopping off at various points between here and Gaustatoppen towards the day. And it sounds to me like that was the test. We heard the test of the horn there that starts the race there. And that is the start of the race, because we can see there that the green caps of the Xtreme World Championship athletes, they have started off. The race is underway for them. So there's a big cheer that went up from the athletes who are already in the water there. It's absolutely amazing when the horn went. So the first 42 pro athletes, those competing for the Xtreme World Championship, they are already underway. And I can see that there's a canoe out there behind them paddling away furiously. There seems to be 1 or 2 out in front. And it's a kind of an odd setup with the Norseman, because often you'll have somebody who's very, very strong in swimming, or they'll be strong in cycling, they'll be strong in running, and parts of the course will favour them. But in Norway and in the Norseman, we have some very, very, very strong swimmers. Now, they may not be household names, but they are capable of putting in incredible times. And if you watched the race last year, we actually struggled in the beginning because, you know, we had an idea, you know, at the production meeting, we would have sat down and said, okay, this person or that person is going to be first out of the water. But of course, we can't tell. We can't see from here what bib number they have, or what number they have on their swimming cap, or what number they have tattooed on their leg. So we can't really tell until they actually come out of the water. So that often leaves us scrambling to see exactly who it is as in the lead when they come out there. But Helen Webster is down there at T1 at the first transition from the swim to the bike, which will be in about 50 minutes time, and she will hopefully be across that, and she'll be able to tell us what's happened there. So we're just waiting a couple of minutes now. As the green caps have started, the last of the yellow caps are making their way over there, and I can hear the engines of this boat, this ferry that we're on, starting up. And it's actually going to turn around now and start heading back towards Eidfjord. I'm wondering where we're actually going to get the best view of what's going on. There's a small pocket of yellow caps there. When I say a small pocket, that's only because of the distance, because there's actually 240 athletes who are there, who are in the water waiting for their opportunity to start. What we might do at this stage is we might run upstairs on the boat here and see if we can get a little bit of a better angle. We have our boats, of course, in the water. They'll bring you the action from right there. We're just going to trot up the stairs here and see what we got. It's quite overcast, quite cloudy here this morning. But as you can see from the people on the boat there, there's no rain jackets, there's no winter jackets, no woolly hats, no nothing like that. There's no need for any of that here this morning because the temperatures it's really, really balmy here, and it's only 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're expecting it to get a lot different as the day goes on. We'll move on to over here towards the side of the boat. We get a little bit of a better view there. As I say, we have a couple of cameras here. And there, just that little knot of swimmers waiting to go there. Heads bobbing in the yellow caps in the water as the ferry that brought them out here to the 3 kilometers out into Eidfjord. That ferry is starting to sail back. We're now sailing back towards the little port, the little jetty there. And they're still waiting patiently in the water. So it's about, let me see, I would say 300 meters, maybe 200 meters between the last of the swimmers who are competing in the Xtreme World Championship and the swimmers who are taking part in Norseman itself, the yellow caps of the Norseman itself, the green caps of those taking part in the Xtreme World Championship. I can hear one of the stewards has a radio behind me. I can hear them speaking Norwegian, and they're saying that they are very, very soon ready to go. And it is amazingly calm now that everybody's in the water. All we can hear is a little bit of talk from the stewards and the functionaries on the boat and the noise of the engines here. We're quite a distance away from the athletes, so they shouldn't be bothered by the swell of this huge car ferry. As I say, this is regularly used to traffic people and goods and cars around Eidfjord. And one of the things that if you're a regular viewer of this race, that you'll know is the stunning natural beauty of this part of Norway. We're off a little bit towards the west. Here's where we start. Trepidation now as we wait for the next horn that's going to set off the next group of athletes. Almost complete silence out there, just the hum of an engine. And there it goes. That is the horn that signals the start of the Norseman proper. And we can see people are flying out of the traps there. The second horn there, just in case anybody was in any doubt that the race is now underway. You can imagine the absolute tumult that is in the middle of that. And if you're trying to find your way, feet in front of you, hands snapping at your heels as they try to get away as fast as possible. Everybody fighting for that little bit of space that they need to get their swimming stroke underway. A good solid stroke is what's needed here. They don't need to burn themselves out too early, but they need to get a good solid stroke as they go. And it doesn't take long for the field to start spreading out as we make our way back towards the port of Eidfjord, where we will be moving on. And Helen Webster will be taking over in about an hour's time. I think the next broadcast is going to start. So it's a wonderful, peaceful scene. I wonder how peaceful it is for all those people who are in the water. Around about 280 athletes that we saw jumping off the boat here this morning. And as we move along, and our athletes are hugging the coast there, we can go and maybe have a little look over towards how the field is spread out over on the edge of the fjord there. We can see some of the safety boats and some of the more the Xtreme World Championship competitors will be there. That's it. So we're now leaving the Norseman athletes behind. So the boat is going at a fair rate of knots now back towards the harbour. They're off at a pretty good pace, it has to be said. It's difficult to see from here. Hopefully we'll be able to see from our boats in the water exactly what's going on. We'll go downstairs again on the boat and see if we can catch just one last glimpse of these athletes as they set off underway. As I say, about 50 minutes is the time that the best athletes are going to take to complete this 3-kilometre swim. Then it's up onto the bike, and that is going to take them about 53 minutes. We have now, I think we have pretty much left our athletes behind in terms of the vantage point that we have. So the best of the athletes will be about 3.8, they're going to swim about 3.8 kilometres. They'll be about 0.8 of a kilometre into that swim now, maybe about 600-700 metres at the moment. So all the baggage here is collected. The boat is pretty much empty now, apart from the flags that are being taken away. And what we can see from here in the background is Eidfjord. We can see the hotel where many will have started from here this morning. We got up a few hours ago and that time has absolutely flown by so far. It's been absolutely incredible how quick it goes. You get on the boat and you think, oh, you know, it's at least an hour until we start the race, and now all of a sudden everybody's gone and we're left here on our own. So, but as I say, water temperature is about 16, 17 degrees. I know in America that's not going to sound like a whole lot. We'll have to translate that into Fahrenheit for you. But it's pretty comfortable compared to previous years. In other years we've had 13, 14 degrees. And Norseman, of course, is famous for some of the studies that we do around cold water swimming. But today it's not that cold. It's actually pretty comfortable in the water there. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. We have some experts coming in to talk about that. But at the moment the race is underway. Everything looks cool and calm and collected. A little bit of cloud there over the top of the mountains here on the edge of the fjord. Beautiful scenes. It's actually very, very calm in the water. Apart, of course, from where our athletes are swimming, it's very, very calm there. So, a A beautiful morning here. So what we have seen so far, 282 athletes, 42 of them taking part in the Xtreme World Championship. They went into the water first. After that, we had 240 regular Norseman competitors, and remember, there's actually no such thing as a regular Norseman competitor. They went into the water second. 5 o'clock, the first horn went, and the Xtreme World Championship athletes, they took off. They had a few hundred meters of a head start, and then the second horn went. You heard it just very, very recently there. 2 blasts of the horn, and that signalled the start of the Norseman proper, so to speak, the race that we have all come to know and love here in Eidfjord. 3.8 kilometres of swimming await, and they will be shortly coming up on a beach that we are sailing, or a little strip of sand that we are sailing towards at this very moment. When they come up there, they will make the transfer onto the bikes, and from there then it's 180 kilometres to the second timing station, and after that then it will be a marathon to end it. And at the very end of that, of course, if you watched this before, you'll know all about Zombie Hill and how this race ends. You will have heard one or two of the people that we talked about, they mentioned the black t-shirt. The black t-shirt is what you get for finishing at the very top at Gaustatoppen. If you don't finish up there, you get the white t-shirt, and you finish the race anyway. You finish at Gaustablik and you get the white t-shirt. That's drama for another day, but the drama that we're watching unfold now is who is going to be out of the water first. And you can find that out with Helen Webster and our colleague Robin, who are going to be waiting there at the edge of the water when the athletes come out in about 40 or 42 minutes time. We're expecting the first of the athletes to be out of the water in Eidfjord, and then we'll know a lot more about how this race is going to develop. My name is Philip O'Connor. This has been the first show in this year's Norseman Xtreme Triathlon. Catch up with us again in about an hour or so when we know how this race is shaping up.